I never trust that clock back there, so I always wait a few minutes till after it passes. But it's on time. I found out. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Reverend, and the theme is remembering, which I work on every day and every second on remembering. And the topic for August is Radiance. And there's a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson that's on our little prayer handout that's on the back of the chairs. It says, what lies behind us and what lies before us is our tiny matters compared to what lies within us. And that brings us to radiance, I believe. So I'm going to ask our musician for today, John LaLonde, to come up and play, and then we'll go into a silent meditation for a little while, and then we'll come back.
Good morning.
Good morning, John.
Enter the space inside your head. See it as already infinite, extending forever in all directions. This spaciousness that you are is permeated by luminosity. Know this radiance as the soul of the world. Thank you, John. Beautiful. Now we have a spiritual thought with Jacque Stringer, who is also a teacher of how to use this thing.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I really like that reading. I'm gonna have to borrow that from you. So, radiance. I didn't know it was a scientific term until I was researching what it actually meant. It has its own unit of measurement too. In computer graphics, they use it, they calculate it by looking at the sum of the light it emits on its own plus all of the light that it reflects from other sources, which I thought was nice to add the reflection part of it. And when I was thinking of radiance, for some reason I kept on thinking of the stars and how as humans we're told that we're all made of stardust because we have carbon, oxygen, iron in our bodies, and we're all forged from the cosmos. And it makes sense how we're called humans, hue standing for color, and man. And it made me think of kind of what John was saying last week when he was talking about how artists in, like, I don't know if it was Da Vinci, put the halo over people who had become or who were known to be enlightened. I had also read some texts from during those times that actually said that it wasn't just an artistic quality, it was actually something that people were able to see with their eyes. Back then they didn't have a lot of the pollution in the air, pollution in the food, pollution around us, so the air was able to take that luminosity and it almost reflected off of what was there. And so people would walk around. I think you've probably heard of the rainbow body like the monks have. That's all true. So it made me start thinking of our spiritual radiance and how we all work on our inner luminosity. And a lot of times when we come into contact with people who are working on their inner luminosity like we all are, you'll feel an aura of peace around them. And a lot of times they'll vibrate a different energy and they'll look vibrant because they are kind of glowing. They're usually deeply connected to their spiritual core. And a lot of times these people have magnetic presences. They have authentic confidence and a heart of gratitude. Now these are things that I don't know if we're born with. I think we may, but a lot of times we forget. And so we have to work on them. So it's something that you also nurture and you cultivate at the same time. It's not exclusive to any one religion or type of person or reading. Some of the things that we can do to help build our luminosity from the inside out: meditation, mindfulness, affirmations, selfless service, connection with nature. And what I love is music and listening to sounds and the vibrations, all the music that we hear here and as we go out to the world. It should be something that feeds our souls. Radiance is something every human is capable of. But also, it's how we choose to live our life. And we can choose to expand this as enlightened humans. I'm really thankful for the PLC because just like with computer graphics, when we come here with our own light. And sometimes it's dim. Sometimes we're having a hard time in life. But we come here and we look at each other and we're able to reflect that love to each other, for each other. And I feel it every Sunday when I come here. And I'm very, very, very happy that we have this place. One of the things that I also found interesting when I was watching Gaia TV, and I wasn't even looking for information, but they had said that they did a study during COVID, and I don't know what types of machines they used to measure, but they said that they measured 2 different groups of people during COVID when they were at home, and they had to come in, they were sick, and they just said, you know what, you group, focus on gratitude. We don't have medicine for you, but if you focus on gratitude. And then they studied that, and then they tested it, and they found that the ones that didn't have the gratitude, or who knows if they did, but they were not told to have gratitude in their hearts, they measured that they emitted 200 more times the light than anybody else. So that just goes to show you that just a heart of gratitude, just walking around just with that. You don't have to dance, you don't have to go out in nature, but if you can walk around with a gratitude for life, then I think we're going to be good, guys.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, I'm grateful for that information. I know that when I use gratitude, it relieves me of a lot of things. It takes you out of a poverty mentality. You start feeling good again. It's a wonderful thing. And it's a nice reminder. So now I'm grateful to also bring John LaLonde back to play some more music for us.
Thank you. Well, I hope to reflect some of that love. Thank you, Jackie. Full moon last night. Did everybody notice that?
Yeah.
So bright. 3 a.m. for the minute and a half I saw it. It was just a beautiful light outside. So, fabulous night for a moon dance. Van Morrison song is what I'm going to play.
That was wonderful. Fabulous. Yes. There's lots of adjectives we could use. It's really good. Also, I saw the moon at about maybe 9 o'clock last night, and it was in the east for me, and it was really orange. I loved it. I know that means something else, but I don't care. I thought it was a beautiful color. So it was a very nice, and it was a full moon earlier in the day, but it looked like a full moon at night too, so wonderful. Yay, thanks for playing that. Okay, now we're going to have a budding flute player, probably a moon watcher as well, Reverend Bob Hand.
Yeah, Jean and I came here to the flute circle for the first time yesterday. That was the first instruction I'd had on playing a flute, but personally I think I did really well. I offered to play with John today, but he said he already had his stuff prepared. I've been practicing on a Beethoven song. It's one he wrote after he went deaf, called Toneless Sonata in an Unrecognizable Key. Really interesting. But I'm going to talk about the theme today, Radiance. And what I'm going to talk about is various details of a theory I have about it. And it is just my own theory. We all know I'm a genius, though, so it's almost certainly correct. So my theory is that we are all spiritual light bulbs. We are incandescent light bulbs that radiate spiritual energy. And to talk about that, we have to talk about light bulbs first. And we often think of Thomas Edison as having invented the electric light bulb, but he didn't at all. There were electric light bulbs decades before he made his, but they didn't work very well. That was the issue. He made the first commercially usable electric light bulb. So if you had all these other people making them, why didn't they work? Well, if we talk about how a light bulb works, you have electricity coming into it, of course, through wires, and then there's a small string across there called a filament, and that's the key to the light. When the electricity goes through that filament, the filament, depending on what it's made from, it may not interact with the electricity at all and you get no light, or it might interact just a little bit, you'll get a very dim light. Or it might interact a great deal, which is what the early light bulbs did. And you got a light that was actually painful for people to see, and it only lasted, maybe the bulbs would last 20 hours or so and burn out. So they weren't usable. Edison, of course, had his whole lab with dozens of people working for him, and so basically he was successful because he tried literally thousands of different types of materials until he found one that worked as a good filament. And in fact, a reporter asked him, how did it feel to fail 10,000 times? And he said, well, I didn't fail 10,000 times. We were successful at finding 10,000 ways you cannot make a light bulb. But he finally found the right material and obviously made light bulbs that give the kind of light that's good for us to see with and lasted thousands of hours. So how are we then spiritual light bulbs? Well, the electricity, we have electricity that's in our bodies, but it doesn't make the kind of light we're talking about here. But we have spiritual energy that runs through our bodies, always. All of the time we have spiritual energy that runs through our body. We don't have an off switch. You can't turn it off, it's there. But if what's inside us doesn't interact with that spiritual energy, then we don't have that spiritual radiance in us. we can go through our lives dark forever if we choose to, and people do that. But really, what makes it work is what's inside us. And when John spoke last week, he said, is it something that we radiate out, or is it something that we reflect, or is it both? John, it's both. There, answered that. Because we have this spiritual energy coming in. And then there's the essence inside us. We can call it ego, we can call it personality, we can call it mind, we can call it consciousness, we can call it soul. But there's something in us that makes us unique human beings. And it's that something that interacts with the spiritual energy that gives that radiance from us. And as Kim mentioned earlier, Emerson said, what lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny things compared to what lies within us. I mean, what a powerful statement. What's out there is irrelevant compared to what's inside us. And Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. Whatever we're going to put out there has to be in here first. If we want to radiate a spiritual light, that spiritual light has to be inside us first. And in the secret gospel of Thomas, the spiritual teacher, Jesus said, if you bring forth what is inside of you, you will be saved. Again, the spiritual wisdom saying that whatever we're going to put forth has to start inside us. And so it's that essence inside us with the spiritual energy that causes this radiance, this power to come out of us. And, with all of life, things aren't that smooth and clear, because it isn't always good when that happens. Really. If what's inside of us is egotistical, if it's arrogant, if it doesn't care for those around us, then the light that comes out is like those light bulbs that weren't good, those light bulbs whose light actually hurt people. And that can happen. I mean, look at Adolf Hitler, a very important man, a man who was very charismatic. He was idolized by millions of people, a very powerful man. Power must come from the only place power can come from, spiritual energy. And yet it didn't radiate a good light. I say it radiated darkness, in effect. It radiated something that was harmful and caused fear and hatred rather than love. And if we allow our inner essence to be that way, what's inside us will be what comes out. But we don't have to be that way. We can interact with spiritual energy in a more receptive way. And what do I mean by receptive there? The Tao Te Ching says, know the male, but cling to the female. Cling to the female. The female is that loving essence, that receiving essence. We need to bring in that spiritual energy in a humble, receiving way. I mean, think about it. Divine Spirit is not only all-powerful, it is all-knowing, all-knowing. Now, do we take something that's all-knowing and say, hey, do what I say because I know what's best? Do we have that arrogance? Or do we say, guide me with this all-knowing spiritual wisdom. Let me take that in and let me use that to guide the light that I'm going to put forth. And when we do that, we radiate that loving light. And you know, it happens really a lot around us, and we don't always see it. I think part of it is because we think of it as purely a kind of spiritual religious thing. So we think this spiritual light, this radiance, we're going to see it from people who are praying, from people who are meditating, from people doing sacred rites. And those do create that connection that radiates that light. But that's not the only place it happens. Those of you who have been around here longer know that my wife Jean, some of the rest of you may not know that, started a nonprofit children's museum years ago, worked on it for 18 years. And I've got to tell you this, Jean, I've got to say it. There were times she would come home and she was grouchy. And she was upset she had been trying to get money for the museum when people had told her they would do things and they didn't follow through. She was not a happy camper. But there were other days when she was there with these children who were just ecstatic about what they were doing. They were in there with these exhibits, playing and learning and just having a wonderful time. And when she came home those nights, she was glowing. We could have turned off all the lights because she was putting out such a radiance. And that can happen with all of us. You know, it happens with art. It happens with music. It happens when we're giving loving care to plants and animals, and especially when we're giving loving care to each other, when we're helping people around us, when we're offering that hand, when we're doing those loving things. And so all of us every day can choose. We can be the dark bulb. That spiritual energy is there, but nothing forces us to use it. We can spend our life dark, or we can develop that inner loving essence, and we can radiate a light that will shine to the world and show other people the divine peace and love that we all should have.
Yes.
Thank you.
I love that. We're all radiators. We're all radiators. It's just being conscious about what you're radiating a lot of the time. Thank you. That was wonderful. I now have where am I? Okay. I was thinking about Maggie this morning and how she used to like to play. And her laugh. I was thinking about her this morning. And she was a big radiator of light. Maggie Beebe. I don't know if all of you know who she is, but she was a big part of the PLC. So now we're going to have the offertory, and I'd like to ask two people to come up if they'd like to, or two radiators of love. Don't feel that I am manipulating you in any way to come up and help with lavatory. And there's also some special presents in here already, from the flute circle and maybe from, I don't know, the drum circle. Thank you. Two lovely sisters. We're going to say the prayer first. The offertory prayer is divine love flowing through me, blesses and increases all that I give and all that I receive. That's great. And I just want to say we had a great time in the flute circle, and the drum circle was wonderful, and then this morning we did chanting. So there's a lot of music been happening, and I come for the soul chant in the morning, and it just is it's a shift. You shift because you're putting out some energy, and you're using your vocal cords in a different way, and you don't even have to understand exactly what you are chanting, but you know that you're chanting it with heart, because you feel that. So the syllables are just something they actually don't get in the way. They sort of help, because you're not really putting a lot of your own thoughts into it. You're getting to release that part of your brain.
Yes.
Nice. Very fun. Okay, thank you. I can remind people about the frog box, that if you can't stay, because today our prayer partner is Jacque Stringer. Yes. Yay, that's what it says here. Okay, good. And so you can go and see Jacque after the service in the meditation room. If you don't have time, there are other ministers here, or you can put something in the frog box, a request, and all of us will pray on that. It gets Joe puts it in to our prayer tree. That's what I call it. Puts it on the prayer tree, and we all get it, and we all do prayer. And it's actually something. Now, who said it? When you are giving, was that Bob or was it Jacque? But just now said, when you're giving something, you feel good. You feel like that light that radiance is happening. And I know I feel that way when we do the prayer. And it takes you right out of whatever darkness you might have been in, if you've been in any. All right, so now what else do we have? Announcements. I've just done a whole bunch of them, but anyone else have any announcements they'd like to make? Okay, Jacque.
Just a reminder, next week we do the A Course in Miracles discussion group in the back. And just to make sure you know, it's for beginners, intermediate, if you've never studied. It's a fun thing to discuss. I like it. Me and Barney knows a little bit more than I do, so we always come together and we always have good discussion. So that's after church next week. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else have any announcements? Oh, hello, Dale.
Hello. I really enjoy that, Bob, what you're saying, because the most rewarding thing you can ever do is work with people, and the most discouraging thing you can ever do is work with people. My granddaughter married a young man up at Chico, and she ended up making that her home. And he was working at a prison for young people, juvenile prison. And we'd go visit them, and one time he'd just be on top of the world because he thought he was getting across to somebody. Next time you see him, that person got out and came right back in again, and he was just dragging, you know. So then he went to work for his uncle that had several expensive rest homes, you know. And oh, they loved him so much, and they just, as he walked in, they just crowd around him with complaints and everything, you know. And I said, well, what do you think about that? And all of them complain. Oh, he says, that I can please them. I can't please those guys out there in the prisons. And so it just radiates. I watch that light up there. I'm convinced if you stand up there and lie, that thing will come down and hit you. So I like that to kind of tell us that everything is truthful. Thank you, Bob.
Thanks, Dale. Yeah, we can swing in moods. Kathy.
I was the hospice nurse for my aunt. I think I mentioned to you that when she passed away, she was in my arms. And right as she laid down and took her last breath, her head lit up like that bright.
Yeah.
And I was totally, no one else saw it. I saw it, but not everyone saw it. And it just was, changed me, you know, when you see something like that. And her face had been real wrinkled. She was 98 years old. 90 years old. And when she died, she looked like, not a wrinkle on her face. Her face looked like gold, you know, just no wrinkles at all. The glow and no wrinkles on her face at all. And I'll never forget that.
Thanks, Kathy.
There's some wonderful stories, you know, people in the light, and I think there's a subtle thing about people too, that sometimes you can tell when they are in this, they don't have to do much. It's not a big thing. It's a subtle thing sometimes. They just have this calmness. They have this essence about them. I think this is all discussed, but yeah, and you can feel it. It's a calm feeling, and I think to go peacefully at the end of your time here in this spacesuit is a wonderful thing, and I think that light is there. It's always there, and we all have it. We all have it. It's a wonderful thing to witness. Any more announcements? Okay. Well, now let's see. What are we going to have? I think we're going to have some really good. Oh, next week's speaker, Reverend Robin Wolford. Yay, Robin. We'll see you next week. You don't want to miss that. And I guess we'll have some music after. We might need you for 3 songs, John. I hope you have 3 songs. Or 2. Let's do the prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds me. The love of God enfolds me. The presence of God protects me. The presence of God watches over me. The energy of God is me. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well. There's a lot of radiance in there. Just realized that again. Okay. Well, so we're going to have John come up and play a semi-closing song. You can go as long as you want. We have some time, but no pressure.
This is the closing
In a
song.
moment.
I'm going to play the Skyboat song, and it's a traditional Scottish tune. It's a lament written in 1870 by Sir Harold Bolton. And it can be really slow and sad. It's actually written to be sad. But I wanted to listen to a few versions of it. And so I listened to a number of versions of it, including one by Van Morrison. And I say all that to recommend it to you. Van Morrison, Skyboat song. It is just a jazzy, swingy, quick-moving thing. He plays saxophone, and he's a terrific saxophone player. And so, I've tried to take this from dirge. Verge to more swingy, but it's basically faster. Faster is about what I've accomplished. But the Skyboat song.
Wonderful and beautiful and great, and my whole body feels good, my mind feels good. It's just been a wonderful morning. So now I'm going to ask
Kim to pray us out.
Oh, I could. I could. I've been doing a lot of talking today. But anyway, all right. I think as we go out into the world, one of the things I want everyone to remember about today is there's this thing that I saw many years ago, that when you do this, when you stretch your hands out and you do this and you open up, your heart opens up. And you don't have to do this to anybody but yourself. But when you do that, it sort of just brings you out, and it brings the light out in you. So I want you to remember that you are lights, you're radiators, and you're here for some reason. That is a wonderful thing, to share your uniqueness, to share your talents, your gifts and abilities, whatever those may be, and to find your inspiration. Because when you find your inspiration, I think you're grateful for everything that you do. So walk in beauty, and we'll see you next week. Have a great week. Thanks for being here.
Stop recording right there. Once you go on, stop.